Katerra and WeWork had ambitious goals to disrupt and redefine the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. Construction has remained relatively unchanged for the past 100 years and is notoriously inefficient and unproductive. Katerra and WeWork preach the value of vertical integration, where a company has direct ownership of various stages of its production process. In theory, eliminating external contractors or suppliers can streamline operations, shorten timelines, and decrease the margin of error. WeWork provided flexible shared workspaces for startups. They claimed that the business was worth $47 billion in January of 2019, despite losing $219,000 every hour of each day from March 2018 to March 2019. Once the public realized how unsustainable and reckless the business was, their valuation quickly dropped to $9 billion. They laid off two-thirds of their employees, and Adam Neumann stepped down as CEO of the company.
That energy is something that's hard to explain. It's something that either you feel it or you don't. We like to call it the we generation.
SoftBank, a Japanese conglomerate, pumped around $18.5 billion into WeWork. They also pumped $2 billion into Katerra, an off-site construction company. Katerra was founded by Michael Marks and Fritz Wolf. The company manufactured large building components off-site and advocated the use of mass timber like glue-laminated and cross-laminated members. In many of its projects, the company served as a manufacturer, architect, MEP engineer, supplier, general contractor, and subcontractor. However, within 4 years, the company had burned through their funding and their overambitious plans started to crumble. By June of this year, they laid off many of their employees and filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So what happened to Katerra and what can we learn from its failures? For starters, we have to be cautious of outsiders, particularly from the tech industry, who have grandiose ambitions to fix architecture, engineering, and construction, or AEC. While an external view is helpful, it is also naive. Michael Marks, the founder of Katerra, came from an electronics field. He wanted to bring the electronics industry's end-to-end manufacturing process to the construction business. They would buy materials and fixtures in bulk, skip the middleman, and sell them directly to GCs. In order to become a full-service firm, Katerra spent millions on acquisitions and mergers around the world. United Renovations, Fields Construction, Bristlecone Construction, KEF Infra, Equilibrium, UEB Builders, Fortune Johnson, KGD, and Michael Green Architecture. However, you can't simply buy companies and expect all the employees to blend together perfectly. This reckless artificial growth can lead to headbutting and clashing cultures. Elliot Brown interviewed a former Katerra employee for his Wall Street Journal article. He said that when architects and engineers raised concerns, Katerra executives would hold up an iPhone, telling the skeptical workers that if it could be done for phones, it could be done for apartments. That kind of thinking brings us to the second point, the difference between theory and practice. Construction isn't the tech field. An iPhone is not a building. Katerra thought it could save time and money by controlling everything, from manufacturing windows to making its own light bulbs. They believed that any structure could be built with assembly line parts in its own factories and then shipped to job sites. Instead of mastering a single type of building, Katerra built offices, hotels, single-family homes, and apartment buildings. They proudly claimed to do it all: traditional wood frame on grade, tilt-up concrete structures, cross-laminated timber, cold-formed steel, post-tension concrete structures, and wide-flanged structural steel. This is another clear sign of naivety. An iPhone or a car can be used in any part of the world with relatively small tweaks. Buildings don't work that way. The programmatic and construction requirements of a hospital are vastly different to those of an apartment building. Additionally, buildings are the embodiment of culture, tradition, local environmental conditions, expertise, materials, code requirements, etc. In theory, producing repeatable prefab components would bring in profit margins of 25 to 30%, as Katerra promised. In reality, Katerra underbid projects, missed construction deadlines, and blew through budgets. They racked up $2.8 billion in losses over the last 3 years. There was some suspicious potential conflict of interest dealings going on at Katerra. This article on The Real Deal says that Fritz Wolf, co-founder of Katerra, owns a private equity firm with a massive construction arm. His firm was Katerra's sole customer in its initial years. Michael and Fritz also started Paxion Capital, invested in their clients' businesses like Lolly and Pops, and started an investment fund called Candle, which allowed them to take an equity position in some of Katerra's projects. Seems like they were both the owners and the customers. Adam Neumann, former CEO of WeWork, did something similar. He owned the buildings that he leased back to his company. So why should we care? Plenty of businesses declare bankruptcy, and companies with the highest valuations aren't even profitable. Before we jump into that, let's talk about the sponsor of this portion of the video, Roofing for US, the biggest online roofing materials supplier in the US. Roofing for US ships all their products nationwide to contractors. Roofing for US is cheaper than big-name brands and offers high-quality products for less. Brands such as Facro, Velux Skylights, Suntech, National Nail, TrueFast Walls, Malta Dynamics, Lucas Waterproofing, and more are available online to purchase today to be delivered directly to your job site. Use promo code Belinda5 to receive an additional 5% discount off your next order with roofingforus.com. Back to why we should care about companies like Katerra going bankrupt. People have accused me of being too negative and of being fearful of progress. I admit I can be pretty cynical at times, but I'm not afraid of progress. It's just that after turning 30, I have a very low tolerance for bull. I also think that businesses like Katerra and WeWork delegitimize slow growth companies that are doing the right thing, companies that have started off with humility and respect for the complexities of the AEC industry. Additionally, the entire construction industry has thousands of highly specialized fields. It is very disappointing when outsiders dumb it down into the ever-elusive kit of parts. I've received so many illogical questions from people who have somehow secured funding for their disruptive but senseless projects. When companies declare bankruptcy or insolvency, the costs have to be borne by someone, right? Adam Neumann, who ran WeWork into the ground, was given $1.7 billion to step down. CEOs and investors are not going to bear the costs. It's us, the middle-class tax-paying citizens and consumers, that deal with the repercussions of reckless companies. That's why we should care. I'm going to wrap up this video with a clip from Grand Designs UK. If you haven't watched that show, go check it out now. It is the most addictive, calming, and inspiring architecture and design show. These owners wanted to build a sculptural home in Exeter, UK. The home would be made of giant timber components and clad in zinc and glass. To save time and money, the architect and the owners decided to prefabricate all 300 timber components. However, moisture had swollen every timber beam. Even though they slotted together in the factory, they now didn't fit on site.
The pre-drilled holes aren't lining up with the steel brackets, and the engineered hangers are impossible to connect.
The problem we've got with this is designed with no tolerance, so it's designed millimetre perfect. It just doesn't fit.
They had to go back to traditional methods of construction and manually cut and route each beam. An initial budget of £835 turned into £2.5 million. We cannot dismiss the power and unpredictability of Mother Nature in construction. AEC is a very difficult industry to automate. Instead of automating small parts of the process and understanding how trades work together, Katerra tried to master every element at once and failed. Their hyper-growth strategy is employed by social media and software companies, but it doesn't work in complicated, slower-moving industries like real estate and construction. I think professionals who respect and understand the complexities of AEC will be the ones to initiate change. If you worked at Katerra or WeWork and would like to share any personal stories, leave me a comment below. I'll link my Patreon page in the description. If you can support me, I'd really appreciate it. A big thank you to everyone already supporting me. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. See ya.